Thanks for listening to our podcast, Living Life with the Rogers. My name is Cameron.
And I'm Kira, and this is a lifestyle podcast where we talk about #all the things. Listen in.
Hello, listeners. We are excited to bring you a new topic, and today's topic, drum roll, please. Nice. It's gonna be body image.
A little heavier today than the last topic of wedding days, because why not just go for it on your third episode? Living life over here. I've talked about this a little bit on my Instagram before, but I'm just going to kind of go into my backstory a little bit because I have a long history with body image, and it has changed a lot over the years, in good and bad ways. So I grew up in a competitive figure skating environment, and there was a certain weight that you had to be, and there were weigh-ins frequently, a lot of training. It was very much focused on how skinny you were and how good you looked in your little dress, because that's just part of the image. You get judged on how you look and how you perform, and yeah, it was just a lot of focus on the image. So that was like my focus growing up. And my mom had a lot of mirrors in our house, and she always said that it built your confidence to always see yourself and look at yourself. But I don't know if it actually did that. I kind of think it actually did the opposite, because it just made me obsess about the way that I looked too much. There was just too much focus and too much thought put into what you look like, and not enough on who you were as a person.
I remember as a young kid looking in the mirror and not always being content with my looks. I was a little frustrated with how coarse my hair was at the time, and it would kind of grow as a poofy ball. And I remember seeing my chubby cheeks in the mirror, and I think other people thought it was cute. I was kind of frustrated in that. So I can relate to the standpoint of kind of looking at myself and in the back of my mind wishing things looked different.
I think body image gets pinned on women a lot, but I think a lot of guys just aren't honest about how much they think about what they look like and what they can do to better themselves. Even when you think about Botox and things that women do to make themselves look better, if a guy says, oh yeah, I get Botox to help with wrinkles or making him look younger, there's a stigma there, and I'm not really sure why that is.
The stigma is you just are raised to not talk about it. Nobody, from male peers, we don't discuss looks or appearances, or and let's get to the deeper root of it that's beyond just looks and appearances, is a self-confidence and how you feel about yourself. So we don't really talk about the mental state of your viewpoint on yourself, and kind of tying into you being a figure skater, and right there they're comparing you to other people, to weights. So even from a young age, whether you're watching a TV, playing sports, getting involved in activities, there's already that comparison to this is how somebody else looks. Why do you look different?
Yeah, and I think that's good that our generation, I think we'll get into this a little bit later, how I think some of the ways that we've handled body image is a little off, but I do think one of the positives is that as what are we, millennials?
Yeah, I think so.
I always get confused with Gen Z and millennials. I don't really understand. I'm I don't know. I'm 30. So our generation is talking more about these types of things, and so I think it will help the younger generations work through some of these issues that we just didn't talk about growing up and just suppressed and we're struggling with, but nothing was really done about it. So I'm hoping that the younger generation will have a little bit of an easier time navigating some of these challenges, and will grow up with a more positive view of themselves.
Yeah, so you did a great job sharing your experience of figure skating. I think a lot of people can relate, whether they can relate with figure skating, but they can relate from a young age with the comparison of looks or being obsessed with weight, especially from a young girl standpoint. Move on a little bit to when you got a little bit older in your, let's say, preteen years.
So the first time I experienced weight gain was when I lived in Ocean City. So I was like 18 and I was skating in a show at the Carousel Hotel down there. And it was my first time being out of my house where I was in control of what I ate and how much I ate. And so obviously any kid experimenting with that for the first time is gonna take advantage of it. And I gained a lot of weight. So I actually wanted to apply for Disney on Ice instead of going to college, and when I went to go submit my application, I was 25 pounds over the minimum weight that they would even accept because, again, like we were just growing up like Disney princesses, like they're all very skinny, and so when you're performing in Disney on Ice, you have to look like the character that you are acting, and they wouldn't even consider my application because of my weight, which also just tells you how screwed up our culture is.
And not only screwed up, but already, what does that do inside your head? Tell me a little bit of insight in what goes on in your head from a young age having to meet these certain weight restrictions to then getting application. And I don't know exactly what the response was. Maybe you can elaborate, but knowing that they're calling you overweight, what thoughts are going through your head at that time?
Yeah, they're reinforcing the idea that your value and your success is based on what you look like. Again, like it was just this over obsession with if you look good, then you are good. And we just know that's just not true. But that was the message that was portrayed to me, was like, okay, yep, you do this, you look this way, and you will have success and happiness, and you will be set up in life. And it just wasn't the case.
Yeah, that had to be hard. And I knew for me, so getting into about preteen years, just a lack of conversations and awareness from a male perspective. I remember looking at myself being like, all right, I'm starting to put on a couple lbs, a little extra pounds, and seeing my chubby cheeks, my coarse hair, and feeling frustrated. But then going to the gym, I ended up working out with a couple people who were excelling in their fitness, and these guys could lift me and another person over their head at the same time. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of lost patience. I got frustrated. I went to the gym a couple of times. I felt very defeated in how far I had to go and how little I could lift and how little I can do. And from a male culture, we get obsessed with how strong we are, how much we can lift, and the comparisons already start just from the second we enter the gym door. Oh, look at their muscles compared to mine. So I remember feeling very defeated very quickly on in my journey of trying to get in better shape, which just brought me back to that cycle of the lack of confidence, the frustration, and I ended up not sticking with it.
Yeah, that definitely affects like your consistency with, it kind of goes into your why of, why are you working out and kind of sticking with it. But we can save that for another day because I feel like.
So then after, yeah, for a whole nother episode. Yeah. So moving even further, you can share a little bit about college. So you already have, I would say, two major pain points in your story about, and mostly tied to figure skating, but you're being compared to weight in your figure skating and Disney on Ice. And so now let's carry on to college years. How did your weight fluctuate? What was your mindset? And what are some things that maybe change in the college years?
So then when I went to college was when I started to explore my faith and start my relationship with Jesus. And I think that really kind of shifted. I had like my first light bulb moment where I was like, oh, okay, like he, created me exactly how he wanted me to be. And there are so many other things that he cares about that has nothing to do with the way that I look like and how skinny I am. Like that's not even, he didn't even talk about that in the Bible.
Yeah, thank goodness he doesn't give you the same email. You got to lose 10 pounds and then you can come back and talk to me.
Yeah, my favorite verse is Psalm 139:14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. So I really started repeating that verse to myself a lot because I had to retrain my brain to not obsess about what the scale said, how much I was eating, and how much I was going to the gym, which was previously consumed a lot of my thoughts throughout the day. So that was the start of a reworking, if you will, of me and looking at my body and accepting it for what it was and being proud of what it was and proud of what it could do. Because for 18 years, I was brainwashed and told and thought one way. So obviously it's going to take a lot of work to kind of undo what I was trained to believe.
Well, and using the comparison of, imagine you have a closet in your house and for 10 years you do not upkeep it. And anytime you come home, you don't know where something should go. You just open the door and throw something in the closet, shut the door. And so for 10 years, you're kind of making a mess of things. And so the mindset isn't right. And I think sometimes when we bring in God, we bring in faith, we hear a verse like that and we're expecting this magical pixie dust to come down on our heads and, oh, everything's better, everything's instantly healed. And now forevermore, I'm going to have a positive mindset on this. It's just the beginning. It's like opening up the closet door, turning on the light and being like, look at all this mess that is taking place in here for 10 years. It's going to take a lot of time. I want to piggyback on my college years. My whole upbringing, I would like to believe I knew about God. I had a relationship with Christ. And so you would assume, well, okay, if you know about him and if you've heard those verses said, then why do you not feel positive about your body? But there's a difference between letting God in on those areas. I kept God at a distance for so long. So when I hit my college years, the fluctuations in my weight, how I felt about myself, my self-confidence was very low. So for me, it was about accepting that. Even for a man, we'd try to ignore our feelings. We'd try to ignore and suppress the lack of self-confidence. And I had to really kind of sit with that for a little bit.
So what you were saying kind of leads into my unpopular opinion a little bit. I kind of want to be sensitive about how I talk about this. But so there's been a movement where, we talk about all different types of bodies and how all different types of bodies are accepted. And I think that is good. I think it's good that we do talk about how the fact that we all do look a little bit different. I mean, that's how we were created. If we were all exactly the same, that'd be really boring. But the one thing I do think is that we've leaned a little bit too heavy to the body love side, where it kind of gives us an excuse or an out to not take care of our bodies. But I think that an important part of loving and feeling good in your body is learning how to take care of it and nourish it and move it and, value it for what it does for you. So I think, the foundation, so this goes back to what you were saying, the foundation is first and foremost knowing that something bigger than all of us created your body and he created it exactly the way that he wanted it. So that's like the foundational, like you have to believe that and you have to know that and you have to make that a part of your mantra. Otherwise, I just don't think that anything that you tell yourself is going to hold that much weight and affect your positive body image more, if that makes sense. But then going past that, I think I always feel good in my body. I feel strong in my body, more confident in my body when I'm feeding it good foods and when I'm moving it at the gym.
Agreed. And I feel this tension. It's kind of like a seesaw analogy. And you see from generation to generation, we kind of keep tipping the seesaw, where last generation is so hard and hides their feelings about their bodies to the point where there's an increase in the lack of mental health and how you feel about your body. And it's something that just wasn't, years ago, we would never have a podcast like this even talking about this. Now let's go to the current 2023. And now we're almost too accepting of just about everything to the point where we have the increase of illnesses and heart disease and a lot of individuals who are struggling with just poor health overall. And so the overpouring of love is hindering people's growth.
Yeah, and I think I appreciate our gym because there are so many different types of people in there. Like, we take classes and there's not a lot of quote unquote skinny people in there. And again, I'm not trying to be like offensive, but there's just a lot of different bodies, a lot of strong bodies. Like I was always taught like skinny is healthy. The skinnier you are, the healthier you are, the better you look. That's just the way to go. But now in my later years, getting out of that unhealthy environment, I realized that skinny, just because you're skinny does not mean anything. I mean, you could be really sick if you're skinny. So that has nothing to do with anything. And there's a lot of people in our gym that are really strong. And I would always look at them before and be like, oh, well, they're lazy. They don't take care of it. I'm like, no, it's like muscle mass. I didn't even realize that was like a thing growing up because it was all about just being skinny. So I appreciate being in an environment now where there are people who are strong and who are taking care of themselves, but don't look like the image that I was forced to look like when I was growing up, because it helps me remind myself, like, you don't need to be the skinniest person in the room. You don't need to look skinny to be strong and healthy and feel good about yourself. So it's a good reminder to be surrounded by people who do have different body types, but are still taking care of themselves, feel good about themselves, and are strong and healthy.
Well, and it's also breaking down stereotypes. Everybody forms them at a young age, and for yours was formed through figure skating. So the ideal woman was super skinny, and so that was what was preached to you. And it's easy to then carry on that same mindset into everything that you look at. And so for me, my experiences was I was too heavy set. So what I saw as the so-called healthy man was somebody that was packing on the muscles. So it was very easy for me to make a stereotype and go, oh, for a health, for a man to be healthy, you had to have a lot of muscles. And then for you were doing the same thing. Oh, you just had to be super skinny and look like a old school Barbie princess.
Yeah. That's good. You haven't shared your unpopular opinion.
Oh, yeah. So my unpopular opinion is I want to discuss the dad bod. I feel that the dad bod is leaving people who tend to be lazy and affirming them in those choices. And I am guilty, and I'm speaking to myself as a man that was married. I started getting kids, and I feel like from a male perspective, it's almost something that's celebrated that, oh, when you have kids, it's normal to have a gut. You go home, you drink at night, and if you pack on the pounds, it's fine. This is why I'm so upset about the dad bod. It's very hypocritical because as a male, we then look at our wives or we look at women in general and go, oh, you should be skinny. You need to be doing these things. But what about the male? Why do we get why do we get to grow a gut and expect our wives to be trim and proper and take care of their bodies?
Well, and it's all the more messed up because they didn't even grow the baby. So we're the ones that grew the baby. So why are they allowed to be overweight and we're not? That makes no sense.
So it's not necessarily the fact that I'm grilling men that have guts and this and that. It's way bigger than that. It's that men were designed to move. We are hunters. We were created to be busy, to provide, to take care of things. And I don't like the subliminal messaging that's behind the dad bod, which is it's okay to sit on the couch all day. It's okay to not get things done. It's okay to not take care of your body. That's what I'm speaking against.
Also, everyone knows exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands. Do you know what movie that's from?
I do not know, but
come on, Legally Blonde.
Well, I don't think I'm supposed to know that.
Okay, well, endorphins make you happy, and you get endorphins from working out. That's the whole point.
So if I ever get on a Dateline episode, you're basically saying
if I ever
you
stop
stopped
being
working out
with my gym routine, you know that our house is going to go down the tanker real fast. Okay, let's talk about ways that we're going to encourage our daughters to have a healthy body image.
So I think a lot of people like to assume that, oh, I'm just not a confident person, but I'm going to raise my child to be confident. Well, here's the problem with that. Your kid is like a sponge and they watch you. And if they see you walking around with a lack of self-confidence, if they see you not being confident in yourself, if they see you not making the right healthy decisions, they're following in those footsteps. So I think this is an important topic that I want Kira to dive into a little bit deeper as to what do we do about raising the next generation with a positive body image?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. I think the biggest thing is the way well, first of all, okay, let me back that train up.
Chugga.
We are hopefully laying the foundation for our girls to have a relationship with Jesus and to have that foundation of knowing that the creator of the universe created them and he didn't make any mistakes when he made them, and their body is something to be treasured. So we hope that that foundation is being laid through going to church, going to private school with where they talk about Jesus a lot, and just in our home, the way that we live and the way that we talk about the Lord. But beyond that, a little bit more practical, I would say the biggest thing is watching how I talk about my body around them. So there have been times where I've not gotten this right, where I've said, Mommy, why didn't you eat that cookie? Because I'm too fat. Like, literally, because I joke a lot, but sometimes people, like, don't get my sarcasm and it comes off offensive. So I think sometimes that can happen with the kids. Like, they don't know I'm just joking. But, yeah, so I should have said, well, that cookie's not going to make Mommy feel good tonight. It's going to hurt my belly, and I just want to make a healthier choice. I want to feel a little bit better tonight than having that cookie that's going to spike my sugar. So I think watching how I talk about my body, if I'm looking in the mirror, I'm going to try not to pinch at my fat, which I used to do when I was little, but just watch how I'm looking at it. I try and let them see my body, and they will make comments about how it changes since I've been pregnant so many times, and we talk about that, and we talk about how it's not gross, and just talk about the changes that are natural, and they've seen my body in all sorts of different stages, but I think how we talk about our bodies is probably the biggest determining factor of what they're going to think about their bodies.
So a lot of our conversations when it comes to eating is, okay, well, you're going to eat all that ice cream. Instead of worrying about whether that's going to put on extra pounds, how is that going to make your body feel? But I also know our kids love dressing up. So they love wearing the princess dresses. So we have 3 daughters. And for me, I've always made it very important not just to say they're beautiful when they come down with the princess dress and all the makeup, because it's very easy for me to see them all dolled up, and I just want to compliment them. I want to say something kind and say, oh, you look beautiful, you look amazing. But then it's dawned on me that I can subconsciously be telling them that, oh, when you wear this princess dress and you wear the necklace and you have this, little princess crown, that's when my dad thinks I'm beautiful. What about when I'm just going to school, or what about the everyday? So it's always important for me to make those compliments every single day. So I always remind them, you look beautiful on the inside and out every single day.
Yeah, they definitely pick up on what they see, not necessarily what what we're saying or what they're hearing us saying. It's definitely, I feel they're going to just see how confident I am, and they're going to decide whether or not they should be confident based on that.
And there's different stages. Us using the words of affirmation, being positive, self-talk, and encouraging them is going to help. Then the next step is us leading them. Hey, they know we go to the gym, at least 4 or 5 days a week. They're seeing that. They're seeing the work. They see when we come to pick them up from the kids' play area that we're covered in sweat. They ask questions. We tell them what we did. And then here's the fun part is then they get home and they also, I want to work out like mommy and daddy. I want to take care of my body. I want to do these things, while at the same time we're telling them you're beautiful no matter how you look. So you're getting a self-body image from
and there's 2 narratives too when we talk about fitness and working out. There's the narrative that, mommy's working out because she wants to get skinny, or mommy's working out because she wants to feel happy, she wants to have energy, she wants to feel strong, she wants to make sure that her body can last until she's 80 years old and, she's not riddled with sickness or disease.
Agreed.
So I think it's like changing the conversation away from what it looks like and talking about how our body performs for us, how it feels, and just the amazing things that our body can do. But yeah, so I think the takeaways, if we're going to wrap up this episode, the first and foremost would be knowing who created your body. He created it perfectly. He created it exactly the way that he wanted it to be. He created it for a certain purpose. I think knowing that something bigger than yourself was looking out for you and had a plan when it came to designing your body really kind of gives you that core confidence, the core foundation to say, okay, I love this body because I know it was created perfectly by someone who really cares and loves for me. I think then moving into focusing on how we talk about our bodies, knowing that there are different body types. We're not all going to look the same. We're not supposed to look the same. But, just knowing that there are all sorts of different types out there, and you should just focus on what you were created to be.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is let's take a break from how we look and maybe take a mirror or two down and start spending a little more time on how we feel. And that's part of my journey with working out, is I was too worried about what the mirror was saying, what my own head was saying. So when I learned to accept myself and to love myself the way God sees me, now it's about how do I feel. And let me tell you, a year into our little fitness journey, at the age of 36, almost 37, I feel the best I have ever felt. And the amount of running I can do, my lung capacity, just the way I can keep up with my kids, it's bigger than how I look. And that's what's changed my whole opinion about body image. So let's focus a little bit more on the positives of how healthy choices make you feel.
Yep, and hopefully our bodies will carry us into our later years and we can see all these little crazy kids grow up. That's a wrap for today. We hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, if you have any questions, you can find us on Instagram at Kira Nicole Photography. My DMs are always open, and hope you enjoyed this episode. We will catch you guys next time.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Living Life with the Rogers with Cameron and Kira.
You can find us over on Instagram at Kira Nicole Photography. We post on there a lot, and if you want to hear future episodes, make sure you follow and subscribe. Catch you guys next time.